Hello and welcome to the Office of the Patriot. In this office, I try to make sense out of the nonsense of the progressive left. If you are a subscriber, thank you for your continued viewership. It is appreciated. If you are a returning viewer, please take a moment to smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my future presentations. And if this is your first time to my channel, well, congratulations on finding it. It's usually buried in obscurity by the YouTube algorithm. However, I do hope you find the content worth coming back for. My name is Myron Ybarra, and I'm your host. In the style of the former press secretary Jen Psaki, I'm going to circle back to my second episode of Office of the Patriot, the Second Amendment. In episode 2, I go over the history and my interpretation of what the Second Amendment codifies, as well as the justification for protecting it. In simple terms, the Second Amendment allows Americans to maintain firearms to protect themselves and to secure their possessions. And this is despite what progressive leftist trolls on the internet, talk show hosts, and politicians tell you, or rather yell at you. But before I get into this topic any further, I would like to get your take. Do you believe that the Second Amendment has limits? And if so, what are they? Please take a minute to comment below so you can help me defeat that YouTube algorithm. In this episode, I'm going to talk about the different types of attacks that progressive leftists are waging against the Second Amendment, and by virtue of that, all Americans. The unfortunate fact here is some Americans are actually aiding in this effort. Democrats, and what I mean when I say Democrats is socialist ideologues that are currently in power in the Democrat Party, are working hard to disarm Americans under the guise of safety. The first prong of their attack is a direct assault against the Second Amendment by trying to make certain firearms illegal, or make certain firearm parts illegal, or make certain ammunition illegal, or all of the above. In reality, the Second Amendment was actually crafted and intended to allow and encourage Americans to maintain firearms of the same design and capability as the military. This protection was put in place specifically because England used the power of their army and navy to subjugate American settlers before America gained its independence. Early Americans knew that over time, any government they formed could become corrupt in the future, and that people may need to once again defend themselves from subjugation by their own government. Our current government, through the power of law and law enforcement, has made it nearly impossible for anyone to have any military-grade firearms, like an automatic firearm, for instance. And if you're one of the few who are able to secure one, there are so many limitations, like it has to be made before 1986, that you might as well not have gotten one at all. Tell me, how many firearm manufacturers are supporting firearms they manufactured prior to 1986? Not many, I'm sure. Democrats are also working hard at removing your right to customize your firearms. The SBR, which is an abbreviation for short-barreled rifle, the suppressor, the bump stock, or the most recent evil feature today, the arm brace, are also either heavily regulated and taxed, outlawed, or currently under attack. And that's just firearms. I haven't even got to the ammunition yet. States like California require you to undergo a DOJ review before you're able to buy ammunition, let alone touch it. And of course, you have to pay for that privilege. Duh, it's California. And the information they collect is rather staggering. The date of the sale, the ID or driver's license information, all of it. The brand, type, and amount of ammunition that was purchased. The purchaser's signature, and the salesperson's information. So after attacking both firearms and ammunition, Democrats now move to the imposed limitations on where a person can now carry a concealed firearm. Federal courthouses and buildings, any building leased or rented by the federal government, national forests, national parks, airports, the Army Corps of Engineers, military bases, national cemeteries, the post office, the Bureau of Land Management, all the land, which, by the way, in the state of Nevada encompasses over 80% of the entire state, and Indian reservations. And folks, this is just federal prohibitions. State prohibitions will, at a minimum, double this list. And finally, private business. You're seeing a number of politically motivated private businesses adopt the gun-free zone ideology. The private business prohibitions irritate me the most because these are private citizens telling other private citizens they don't have a right to protect themselves while on their property. I'm of the opinion that if businesses prohibit customers from carrying a legally obtained firearm on their premises, then the business must assume full liability if these customers are exposed to and suffer injury from a danger that a firearm may have prevented. I believe after a few civil court cases are brought forward by these victims and these businesses start losing money as a result of this liability, I think this gun-free zone crap will disappear quite quickly. The second part of the Democrat attack is quite a bit more nefarious in that it's causing Americans to rethink their decision to own and carry a firearm for protection. Many big city district attorneys have politicized their office and supporting law enforcement agencies. And as a result, they have abandoned their responsibility to uphold the law without passion or prejudice. There are many accounts of Americans who lawfully defended themselves with a firearm, who are arrested and charged even when it was a clear case of self-defense. In some instances, this even happened in states that have a last castle or stand your ground law. Law-abiding citizens who opted to obtain a firearm, then go through the training, and then obtain a license to conceal carry in their home state are now rethinking whether it's still prudent to carry a firearm for self-defense at all. In fact, many peace officers are having the same reservations. Even if they or you are fortunate enough to reside in an area that supports law and order and law enforcement, you still assume the risk of selective prosecution because the federal government can come after you for civil liberty violations even after the local district attorney determined that it was a lawful shoot. All of these attacks are designed to drive people away from obtaining firearms. However, there is some light in all of this darkness. You see, over the past 5 years, firearm sales to private citizens have increased significantly. And this is because, at the end of it all, when you have a split second to decide to fight, flee, or freeze, it appears that most Americans have decided by virtue of firearm sales numbers that it is better to be judged by 12 than carried by 6. Well, this concludes today's episode of Office of the Patriot. If you enjoyed this presentation, please take the time to like, subscribe, and share my channel on your social media. It is appreciated. And as always, have a great day and stay safe out there.